Well, in that case, I'll play this.
Talking about it and do something!
Suck my dick earth with that bullshit.
Really?
It's like a gentle hate.
Do we have another benevolent service? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Are you benevolent into a friend?
My name is Locomotive. I think I'm coming out of the flat earth closet.
This is so fucking depressing. I can't be a flat earth person.
You can't have it both ways. You can't have a flat earth and things making sense.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Gem's Flat Earth Sunday Roast. In tonight's show, we answer the questions you were afraid to ask, such as, are they using all the bread flour to make chemtrails? Is 5G causing your hair to grow? And why oh why is Louis... Let me say that again. Why oh why is Lewis on every week? All this and more as we spend the next couple of hours looking at the best and worst of the Conspiriweb. I am your host Gem, and joining me as always are some of the cool kids from the Debate, Flat Earth and More Discord server. They are Kat, Curb, Kosho, and... Oh no, that's about it. Scott should be here. Lewis can't make it this week. Hi guys, welcome.
Hello.
Oh look,
Record.
That worked just as the music finished. How about that?
Yeah. All the cool kids, huh?
That will make up for my earlier thing where I do apologise. I started the stream and it immediately said it finished and not. So so that was that, and then I hit it again and it didn't show anything. So how you guys found the place, I do not know, because you beat me to it. That's for certain. So how's your week been, guys?
Yeah, you know, I bet you Cordis is probably sleeping from the trivia last night. We were up pretty late last night doing trivia. So.
Oh God,
Real
yeah,
late.
that trivia. Oh my God, that trivia.
30 minutes turns to 7 hours.
Yeah, it's very US centric, that trivia, Kosho. You need to.
Yeah, I don't know about that. People get mad at the at everything I try to pronunciate. Anything that's foreign that I try to pronunciate. I mean, you gotta get. I mean, I don't speak French. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna be able to read French right. But
I know, but there's a lot of things about it. You know, a lot of questions about the USA, and you know what I mean. That you really have to be American to answer. But anyway, no one knows what the hell we're talking about. In our server, we sometimes do trivia for endless hours. Right, Kosh?
yeah, that's right. Yeah. Cordis was dominating last night, and so he's probably getting his beauty rest.
He is very clever. He quotes us as he does his shopping on a Sunday, I believe. And apparently, it's like the only day he can do it at the moment because of lockdowns and what have you. So I think that's where he is. And Scott, an hour and 38 minutes ago, said, I'll definitely be there early to check me mic. So
it wouldn't have worked anyway.
That's probably true, isn't it? So welcome everyone. Sorry about the false start. Oh, look at me text coming up on screen now. That's looking a bit bigger and better than it did. Shall we get on with it?
Yeah.
So, well, you tell us what you've been up to, Kat, because I've actually not queued the bloody video up now, I think.
Oh, I just bore it. I improved my website. I made great strides to improve my website for my online business. So I was quite happy with myself. I've had a very productive week.
So how's
You're a bit quiet.
Yeah, you are, but it's because he's wandering around his room, isn't it?
Oh, am I walking around? Sorry. Yeah, I am walking around. Sorry. I'll stop walking. I'll sit down.
So you're doing all your business online when it was a shop and retail, right?
Yeah, but we just do like deliveries. Well, we kept most of our customers, a lot of them, not most of them. A lot of our customers, they order, we just drop it straight round because they're all local. Most of them post a few off, but yeah, it's all right. It's not too bad.
It's all right. I'm almost there. We're 10 seconds away. Oh no, we're not. We're there. Oh my god. Right. So this week saw the release of a Flat Earth movie. Yes, a real Flat Earth movie, but only a short movie. Flat Earther is a short movie. It's only about 10 minutes long that you can watch here on YouTube. And here is the trailer in a few seconds from now.
It's based on an empiricist's approach. Wouldn't airplanes always have to be flying slightly downward to avoid going off into space?
Stop reading this internet crap and go out into the real world and talk to real people.
It has always been impossible to prove the Earth was round or flat. But even now, the thought of seeing the truth with one's own eye is a far distant fantasy.
Well, you don't get very much of it, do you? But then the movie itself is only about 11 minutes long or something like that. So not much to go at anyway. But it is worth a look. I don't know if any of my panelists got to see it. Have any of you guys watched Flat Earther?
Yeah, I did see it. I don't know. It was weird because it is very short. And I think I told you this before that it really could be. I mean, the whole movie could be condensed to about a minute because it's the whole story is just him kind of going through the motions of learning about it and
be careful not to spoil it.
Sure, yeah. Okay, I won't get to the spoiler, but certainly, just him learning about it and kind of how his relationship with his girlfriend develops or kind of devolves really because of it. But yeah, so it all could have been done a lot quicker, but still, I think that when I was watching it, I remember having the feeling, I was like, wow, this probably does represent a lot of people's, like actual real life stories.
Right.
It seemed like it probably did describe it pretty accurately, actually.
And I mean, it's been nominated for some awards. Apparently that's common. I didn't realize this, but apparently with these sort of short, experimental sort of studenty type movies, they're often nominated for awards in various film festivals and things, and this one's got a couple of nominations. I mean, it is really well shot, I think, and I thought it's kind of cool, and it's got a twist in the tail, and it's 11 minutes long, so why not devote 11 minutes to it. It's called Flat Earther. I will add the link to the description it'll probably be tomorrow. But yeah, I'll stick that in there if you need to find it.
I'll tell you this, though. About 2 minutes into it, I don't know if it was the actor or just kind of the way he was going along and going about it. I couldn't tell if it was going to end up being like a joke. I was like, is this guy like joking a little bit? Like, because it's almost like they're getting it pretty accurate, like they're like what would happen, like how the relationship develops and all this kind of stuff. But it's like I can't tell if they're playing it like as it's a joke, like picking on them or something, or if it's something deeper. But yeah, I get what you're saying about it being the award and all that kind of stuff, because the award specifically was a nomination for the cinematography or something like that, like the shots and all that. But other than that, I don't think it should have won any awards.
But did you notice? And here's a little clue, but not a spoiler. It was I think it was in a sci-fi category or a sci-fi film festival.
Oh. It does kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So anyway.
No spoilers.
I say watch it. And Captain Bullshit says, can't watch this shit with Kosho being so loud. Deuces,
Oh, wow.
bitches.
I'll move away from my mic.
Yeah,
You've
maybe.
been told.
Yeah, you've been told, apparently. All right, shall we have another clip? Because that was a quickie, that was, wasn't it? There's not a lot of meat on those bones, really.
Nah, but you got some good ones coming up, I think.
I have got some meatier ones. This one, I think, is, well, it's another short clip, but it's fun. A well-known anti-flat earther that we have featured before, although it was a very long time ago, Pastor Stephen Anderson. He's been pretty outspoken on a number of issues, or could be said to even hold extreme views on a number of issues. Here he is again on Flat Earth.
If you're a flat earther, you're either a complete idiot or you're an atheist pretending to be a Christian, trying to make the Bible look stupid, or both. Okay? And I will go on the record right now. Anyone who is a flat earther is either a complete idiot or they're an infiltrator. Because look, in the 1980s when I was growing up, people talked about the Bible teaching a flat earth. Only atheists talked about that. No Christian ever said that in the 80s or 90s. Atheists were accusing the Bible teaches flat earth. But in reality, the Bible said he hangs the earth on nothing. The Bible says he sits upon the circle of the earth. And so all throughout the Bible, it's never a flat earth. It's always cosmologically and scientifically correct. It was atheists that would try to throw that railing accusation.
Now they don't even have to accuse us of it anymore.
Well, now when I hear these so-called fake Christians claiming that the Bible teaches a flat earth, you know what I think? I think they're just atheists pretending to be Christians trolling. And that's why, by the way, let me say this about the flat earthers. On YouTube, you know, you just get all these comments from flat earthers. A lot of those are fake accounts. They're they're robotic accounts. They're troll accounts. And that's why whenever you try to reason with a flat earther, they never will even engage with you. Like, you'll bring up a point and they'll just change the subject to something else. You disprove them on one thing, they just change the subject. They're like an intellectual reprobate. It's impossible to talk to them, impossible to reason with them. And so, flat earthers out there, I don't care who you are a complete idiot. Pastor Anderson says you are a fool, you're a complete idiot, and you know what? I'm just doing what your parents should have done a lot. You know, your parents, when you were younger, when you brought up something that stupid, should have given you a spanking for being such an idiot, because the thought of foolishness is sin. And so, you know, we're having to take you to the woodshed verbally because your parents failed to raise you right. That's why you're a flat earther.
And those are the views of Pastor Stephen Anderson, who isn't very keen on flat earthers, it would seem.
He's not very keen on a lot of people, though, is he?
Right. I mean, what do you know some of his other stuff? I mean, I think he's he doesn't like LGBT stuff, does he? I think isn't that where he's
well, he's
been
quite
controversial
he's
in the past.
extreme, isn't he? And he jumps on his podium, doesn't he? Like, actually jumps on it. It's like screaming
right
about LGBT and everything else. So.
Yeah,
and he's half right, I think, in some of what he's saying.
Well, yeah, I mean, there were some bits there. I mean, I think a lot, if you take anything biblical out of it, I think a lot of our audience would really agree with a lot of that. You know what I mean?
They are idiots. They're not worth talking to. They don't listen. He's right about that. They don't listen.
When he mentioned fake Christians pretending to be flat earthers, did anybody's mind happen to wander in the direction of, say, Lemonbird?
Yeah. to make Christians look, atheists trying to make Christians look stupid. That was an idea that oh gosh, why can't I remember his name?
Soundly.
No, the guy who I interviewed on my channel from.
Yeah, I was going to bring him up too. What's
Professor? Fuck, I can't remember his name.
What is his name?
Anyway, that guy said the same thing. Sorry?
I was going to say his name's David.
No, it wasn't. It was
Professor
Dan.
David.
Wasn't it Dan?
There you go.
Danny Faulkner. Oh my god. Oh my god. I apologise, Professor Faulkner, for not remembering your name.
All right. Should we be spanking flat earthers?
Well, yeah, he did say verbally. He did put that word in there somewhere, I feel.
Oh, yeah, of course. I'm sorry. I thought that was implied already. My bad.
He was quite specific, though. Take them out to the woodshed or something. Is that an American thing? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is, isn't it? I think it's a sort of a, cut me a rod kind of thing. That whole horrendous idea. Beating your children with sticks.
Yeah, right. I mean,
they'd make the kids go get I heard it called a switch.
A switch, that's right. That was the word I was trying to think of, right.
Now, you go get me a switch, I can beat you with it.
Right. I mean, that's really rubbing it in, that is, isn't it? I guess, I wonder if there's a way that you can, if there's a particular sort of branch that you can pick that is not going to be very effective at beating you. Maybe that would be a...
I was just thinking that. I was like, what would go through, which one would you pick?
Right.
Like, you think the smaller ones would be better, but then, it gives you, that whip backlash.
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know. Which one do you usually prefer, Kosho, when you're being whipped?
I mean, hell. I mean, at least this guy, he seems like one of those cool pastors, like one of those cool ministers.
No,
he's not.
No,
you need to Google him. I recommend watching him, but you won't think he's cool after you've watched him.
Well, I mean, he's talking to you, and he's a hardcore guy.
I saw a documentary once. It wasn't totally about him, but it mostly featured him. And it didn't have anything about flat Earth in it, but it was all him doing really controversial stuff, saying things that are, let's say exercising his First Amendment right to its limit,
Yeah, he can say. I mean, I think it's quite entertaining to watch, but yeah, it's definitely worth it. Especially the one where he's jumping on his podium screaming. It was like,
yeah. Well, he does whole sermons about flat Earth, coming out with his sort of, his flat Earth arguments. I wonder how interested his congregation are. I think he's probably done more to promote it to them than suppress the idea, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point. But it's interesting how much more I guess emphatic they're passionate really those guys are, like the Danny Faulkner and this guy, because I guess it really does kind of degrade their entire point, because it does kind of make them all look a little. It bunches them all in together and it makes them look a little bit more foolish. But
right,
yeah, I just wonder how many more people are like him and Danny Faulkner who are actually upset with flat earthers for that reason.
Because a lot of those guys now use these sort of presuppositional arguments where they say that the Bible is their starting point. That's where they begin their reasoning from, what's written in the Bible. And of course, and they're saying they're taking it as reading it literally as it's supposed to be read. And then of course it's very easy for a flat earther to come along and say, that's not the case. Somebody else is manning about your volume, mate. So do try and back off
again.
Okay, I don't know how far. So, and I think also another thing he said, which I think is true, is I think that is an argument that atheists used to use. They used to argue that the Bible said the earth was flat. And I can remember when I was in that atheist-Christian debate, right at the beginning of it, occasionally you would hear that. But, the debate went, somewhat a long way above those sort of arguments, I think. And it definitely went out of fashion. I didn't hear it very often, and usually from newbies, who didn't really know it very well. So, and oddly, you never really hear it now. So, but yeah, so that's that. Anyway, so what else are people saying? Anything interesting? No.
No,
Right.
they're moaning about Kosho.
Yeah, mostly moaning about Kosho, aren't they? So,
It's hard to tell when people are messing with me or having legitimate grimes. So
I think it is
figure
quite
out.
loud, mate. So maybe just gain it down a bit or something like
Yeah,
that.
I moved away from it.
Okay. So, all right, let's do another clip. You may remember back in November of last year, long-time flatty Wakey Wakey uploaded a video where he doorstepped a world-renowned astrophysicist with moronic and incoherent flat Earth questions. Our next offering is inspired by that video. You'll have to listen carefully at the start as the sound is a bit crap, but it does improve. The graphics, etc. are part of the original video and are not mine. Take a look at Flat Earth Boxer in action.
The question is, given the popular heliocentric model, what experiments do you know of that evidence that the Earth is currently moving at an average speed of 66,000 miles per hour, or Mach 88 in an elliptical orbit around the Sun, or spinning at an almost twice the speed of sound, or moving in any way at all consistent with the proclamations of the widely accepted heliocentric model?
I'm not an astronomer.
Would that be a no? You don't know any?
Me personally?
Yes.
I'm not an astronomer.
Is that a no? Okay. So the last one, the third one, I guess, in the interest of everyone's time.
Okay.
Can you think of any experimental demonstrations of gas pressure without a barrier, or adjacent to a vacuum without a solid barrier?
Okay. So I'm not a statistical.
Are you a physicist?
Marginally.
Okay.
I'm on board.
Can you think of any experiments today that you can do today that can distinguish gravity as a force as distinct from the effects of density and buoyancy and fluid medium?
So I'm not a fluid mechanics
physicist.
Maybe, I don't know. You have to ask my advice. I think you can ask the crowd.
A physicist doesn't have to know. It doesn't have to. I just wanted to see if you knew anything.
Because it's very specialized question that you're asking. You should go to, very...
Dr. Bogosian.
Hi.
Kyrie, nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
So, Mr. Vachaspati, or Dr.
Yes.
Vachaspati, he's recommended, so I've come to 2 or 3 of these cosmology colloquiums, and I've asked these 2 questions, and he's recommended that I ask the cosmologist these questions because the physicist prior could not answer them.
Okay.
The first question is, and this is perfect because you do test of gravity.
Yeah.
What experiment have you come up with that, or have you discovered or seen that evidences the existence of a force called gravity, which as distinct from the effects of density and buoyancy in a medium?
What evidence there is for gravity?
In the experimental. As distinct from the effects of density and buoyancy in a medium.
The fact that planets move around, lots of evidence.
So I meant experimental evidence. So
that's experiment.
What's the independent variable in that experiment?
Okay, I guess you could look at different samples. I mean, you can drop things in a vacuum.
So things are more dense than zero. I mean, so a vacuum there's a zero medium, so everything's equally more dense.
You can drop objects.
You
just take a room,
evacuate
the air, and drop things, and then they all fall the same.
Equally more dense than nothing, right? They're both equally. So it's distinct from the effects of density and buoyancy.
Yeah.
So gravity is a force that's irrelevant. It has nothing to do with density and buoyancy, right? It exists there whether or not.
Yes,
So when things fall in a medium,
it's
because they're equally more dense than nothing. In a vacuum, they're equally more dense than nothing. That's why they fall at the same rate. So the question is more as distinct from the effects of density and buoyancy.
Yeah.
If the answer, if no, that's fine too.
I'm not sure I can add more than I said.
Then the second question is, so your cosmology depends upon, so the second law of thermodynamics stipulates that you can't have a gas pressure system in the midst of a vacuum. Like a high pressure always goes to low pressure.
Yes, that's true.
So the cosmology, has it been brought up within the field of cosmology that the heliocentric cosmology depends upon a violation of the second law of thermodynamics?
What is a heliocentric?
The heliocentric model being
around the Earth.
Heliocentric means, or let's say the cosmological model assumed within the parameters of the general relativity theory, whatever you decide is the center of the universe. But normally you have gas composed stars in the middle of a vacuum. So
yeah. So yes, you're right. So if you have gas, it would expand into the vacuum. Absolutely.
So do you know of any demonstrations of gas pressure in the middle of a vacuum without a solid barrier between the two?
No.
So would it be true to say that the cosmological model that underpins the assumptions of the popular cosmology, whatever it is, depends upon a violation of the second law of thermodynamics, which is not demonstrable?
Because there is no. It's not like we're putting. First, the universe doesn't have a center.
Well, yeah, sure. Whether center or not.
And it's uniformly filled with radiation. So it's already equilibrated. So the gas has distributed itself throughout all of the volume of the universe.
Okay, so is that possible to demonstrate, let's say, gas pressure adjacent to a vacuum without a barrier between the two? Is that demonstrable in any way?
I'm not sure.
Let's say I have a pressurized shoebox inside of a vacuum. I poke a hole inside that shoebox. Is there any way to demonstrate air not going into the vacuum and staying inside the box, as opposed to?
I don't think so. As you said, I think you're absolutely right. If you poke a hole, it will go out. I can't think of, unless you just put the shoe inside a very dense, much denser gas or something like that, or put it inside like water or something. I don't know.
So it's true to say you can't have gas pressure in the midst of a vacuum without a solid container?
Yes.
Okay, so how is it the case that we have atmosphere on Earth without a solid container?
Because it's attracted to the Earth.
Via gravity,
by
right?
the gravity.
But why doesn't gravity hold air in the shoebox?
Because the shoe doesn't have enough gravity.
The Earth presumably does.
Earth has a lot of gravity.
The Earth is inside.
And the shoe doesn't.
So why doesn't Earth's gravity hold the air inside the box?
Because, sorry.
Why doesn't Earth's gravity hold the air inside of the shoebox, which is in the midst of a vacuum?
Because the gas has pressure. So it has pressure and it just
goes out into the vacuum.
Sorry,
I'm just saying.
I have people waiting and I need to go.
God, all right.
You think supermassive black?
So there you have it. Now you know what happens when you take basic flat Earth and thermodynamic and cosmological questions to top physicists and astrophysicists and cosmologists at various universities, whether they be that of Carnegie Mellon University in the case of Ira A. Rothstein, or in the case of Simon Fraser University, which is the home of Dr. Pagosian, a specialist in cosmological tests for gravity. When asked questions of the kind which should be very simple to answer, pertaining to gravity and gas pressure in a vacuum, professors of this high status either resort to snark, evasion, or are simply flabbergasted and have never been asked by anyone any of these questions. So this should give you resolve and comfort to know that there's not much to it. So I encourage you guys, if universities ever open out, for you guys to just go out and visit any open lecture you can and present these exact kinds of questions to your local professor. All right, if you like that, like, share, and subscribe.
And there you go, good advice. Any flatties that are listening, please go and do this, because it creates entertainment, and we like to see you displaying how stupid you are. What do you reckon, Coach?
No, look at his responses though. Like he's saying, "Oh, it's cognitive dissonance," or he's struggling to come up with an answer or something like that. But that's how they're going to perceive it, regardless. And I think that this guy actually, if you pay attention, and it's hard for us to think about this, but when he was saying like heliocentric, he was kind of thinking like he was confused for a minute. But you have to you forget that. That's a giveaway. Like that's basically a given. I'm sorry. Yeah, heliocentric. So no one's thinking like, what is he talking about? So most of his confusion comes from him trying to figure out what's this guy talking about. Right. When he actually does ask him straight up, like, how does the shoebox not have gravity? Like the stupidest question. And how does the Earth have it? He says quickly that it's because it's attracted to the Earth. And so he answers it quickly once he realizes what he's asking, what he's talking about. But most of it is just him looking confused because he's asking weird, confusing questions.
And he's doing that on purpose. That's what's annoying about them, because he's not there to actually ask the questions. He wants to know the answers from, do you know what I mean? From that guy's point of view. He's trying to get gotcha.
Yeah,
you know,
and
just confusing the guy.
And I thought you could kind of sense that as well in that he was. Oh, it's okay if it's no, or you don't know, or you know what I mean. He was almost feeding him the answer that he wanted him to give, which was I don't know, or I don't have an experiment or whatever. And of course, yeah, go ahead.
It just took him so long to get to the point, which was the gas pressure in the Earth, and do you know what I mean? He was just like asking all these.
Working towards his gotcha, wasn't he? And ultimately, didn't he propose a vacuum in the shoebox? Wasn't that his proposal? That he'd created that, and then he wanted to know why it was there.
Yeah, that was kind of that was the weirdest question, because he's saying, imagine you have a shoebox and there's gas pressure in there, and you poke holes in it. It's like, what the fuck are you talking? Like, the guy's probably thinking, like, he's trying to imagine this in his head. He's like, what is this guy like? None of that stuff would happen that way, because a shoebox is a shoebox. You put it'll leak out the sides and all this other shit. So it's like, what's this guy talking about? But yeah, that's why I felt bad for him to some extent. But at the same time, I feel like if these guys were more familiar with their arguments and where they're coming from, there was another point when he asked him about buoyancy and density. He's like, is there any way to tell if this is gravity or if it's just buoyancy and density? And he's like, you have to imagine, like, he's probably thinking like, he doesn't know how to answer a question like that. He doesn't even know what that means.
Right.
Like buoyancy and density.
Right. And they think these are, you know, as he was saying, these are just simple questions. Well, they're not. These are flat earther questions that are really based on having an understanding of the flat earth meme and how it's presented and what sort of answer he is actually looking for to that question. And as Kat said, he's not trying to get a genuine answer to his question. He's trying to not get an answer, and he's, you know, asking it in a, you know, a way, you know, he's what he's saying is gibberish to start with. So it's no wonder the guy's struggling to come up with an answer for him. He's just trying to answer him, but not say to him that was nonsensical gibberish, you know. I believe these are sort of open lectures that he's attending. You know, these are ones that they advertise as being open to the public, I think. So I think that's how he gets to them.
Yeah, that's what he said at the end, didn't he? Yeah,
right.
Everyone should attend these. And I encourage all flat earthers to start attending these, because they are quite entertaining to watch. So.
Yeah, I used to go to those at my school. They're fun. Right. So I wonder how many people are gonna continue to do this, because wasn't it Flat Earth Data? He's the most annoying person to talk to. So I feel bad for the professor that he was engaging with. Right. But Flat Earth Data did this, we saw a couple weeks ago. And then I guess this guy, Flat Earth Boxer, which to me, at first I thought it sounded a lot like Mind of God. Right. I got a Mind of God feeling for him, but I guess it's not Mind of God.
I don't think so, no.
Right. So, but yeah, I just wonder, because it seems like maybe it's a trend. People are getting encouraged to do this and then present it and kind of, you know, start high-fiving and all that kind of stuff afterward. But I think that, yeah, hopefully they run into somebody where they are kind of prepared and they don't have anything to, like, it'll be almost embarrassing to post whatever happens online.
Right.
But yeah, for the most part.
They're never embarrassed, Kosher.
And the thing is,
well, you're going to blindside.
If you get someone like that, they just won't post it, though, will they? We'll never see it if that happens, you know.
Yeah, depends how delusional they are. But sometimes they perceive a straight-up loss as a victory somehow.
I think he said the first guy ridiculed him a bit or something. Didn't he say that? I can't remember. Maybe he did in the video and not in this, but you know, he didn't show that, certainly. So that's why, you know, that's why I think somebody ever did just do really well, they would, you know, it would never get. But nobody's ever going to do well, are they? Because nobody really knows.
You can't do well because the whole thing's set up so you can't answer.
Right, yeah. Because you don't. Most people don't know what the hell they're talking about, and they're just trying to extract a meaning and give an answer without being impolite, you know. And because the real honest answer is what 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 the fuck did you just say?
Yeah, I'm telling you, when you try to put yourself in their minds, like somebody who hasn't had the experiences we had talking to some of these people, when somebody says something like that, like, how do you know it's just gravity or not just the effects of buoyancy and density? There's like, if you're coming from a place, especially if you're a physics teacher and someone says something like that to you, there's no way to dissect that and make sense of it.
Right. Doesn't make any sense, does it? Buoyancy requires gravity for a start. That's the first, it fails in the statement itself, doesn't it? So,
well, this is the whole problem, is they won't accept gravity. They want to say that the ball model, doesn't work, but they won't accept that gravity's in the ball model. That is the answer for that.
Right.
Stupid, the whole thing. I mean, that's all it comes down to, is them going, but gravity isn't real, or whatever. Right. That's that's the only place that it'll ever go to.
There needs to be like a crash course sort of thing. A crash course for people like the astrophysicists who debated allegedly Dave, and people like these physics teachers, like just to get an idea of what their lingo is and what their how their arguments are constructed. Because once it's not wide ranging. It's pretty. There's a basic structure, but it's just you have to be familiar with it. That's all.
Right. All right, shall we get to the meaty bit?
Coming in.
Just QAnon.
Yeah. Okay, let me introduce this properly. And now a conspiracy we touched on last week when we went on the road with the Pentagon Paedophile Task Force. I've been hearing about QAnon for a couple of years, and so I was vaguely aware of parts of it, but I've never taken a very close look at it until now. In my humble opinion, and this opinion is not shared by everyone here, I think, it's a deep, dark, and expansive conspiracy that would take a long time to fully explain. So, depending on how this goes, I might serialise this over the next couple of weeks. And if so, here is part 1, an introduction to the truly weird QAnon.
On October 28, 2017, a mysterious post was placed on 4chan, an anonymous internet bulletin board. It contained nothing but codes. This was the beginning of a new phenomenon. The Q posts, soon to be transferred to 8chan due to hacking, became more and more intriguing and popular among the so-called QAnons, anonymous people who are wary of the lies of the mainstream media and who've gone searching for the truth using other news outlets on the internet. Q communicates with the people by means of the Q posts, drops or crumbs that we, the Anons, pick up and decipher. The Q crumbs portray a better world, without wars, treason and corruption. A world after the Great Awakening. Sometimes the Q drops are short and to the point. Initials are used instead of full names. And sometimes combinations of letters and numbers are used for us to rearrange. The Q clock was introduced, and it took us quite some time to figure out how to read it. And then there was the Q map. It contains an overview of the true history of mankind and its covert power structures. Q is not a cult, as suggested by opponents. After all, it tells us not what to think or what to do. It merely gives us questions, clues and riddles. We need to do the research in order to find the answers. And that is how we discover the truth. With an excessively rich 1% of the world population that actually runs the world. Not our political leaders, not our presidents, but a very small group that we refer to as the Illuminati or Cabal. I learned about an evil master plan to completely dominate the world. There's a battle being fought over our heads for world dominance. A battle between good and evil. This is what Q is pointing out to us. But we the Anons have to do the research. And we do. Like nerds, like an army of digital autists, we connect the dots. There is a war going on for world dominance, for the absolute submission of the masses. How is this achieved? By the constant waging of war, by the introduction of the Federal Reserve Bank and central banks, by trafficking drugs, oil and people. The Federal Reserve and all central banks around the world are privately owned by some of the most wealthy and influential families in the world, two of which are close to the top of the power pyramid, the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. The Federal Reserve was set up in 1913 after quite a bit of opposition from the US government and some very wealthy people such as Benjamin Guggenheim, Isidor Straus and John Jacob Astor. They all died on April 15, 1912, when the ship they travelled on hit an iceberg and disappeared in the cold ocean. Coincidence? Let's just say the Titanic disaster was highly convenient. Let's have a look at the visible top of the power pyramid. There we have the Rothschild family. In short, this family owns most of the world. They own each and every central bank. They own the Federal Reserve. The Rockefellers were also responsible for adding the toxic chemical waste product fluoride to our water and toothpaste. They further infiltrated the educational and medical system, giving grants to specific research programs, such as the research and development of vaccines. Let's have a look at the migrant caravan. Thousands of people fled their South American homes to look for a better future in the US. The trip covered 2,000 miles in 1.5 months in order to be on time for the American midterm elections as a political statement against President Trump. This means they walked an average of 45 miles a day on flip-flops. The migrant caravan was a staged event with a political motive. Who was behind it? Who financed such a great event? George Soros. That's right, our great benefactor George Soros, connected to the pedophile club NAMBLA and the rioting and violent Antifa and Black Lives Matter. Why would anyone invest so much money in these massive and well-organized movements? To destabilize a country, to create division. Q strongly emphasizes the importance to unite. United we stand, divided we fall. Q portrays a better world without wars, treason and corruption. And whether you like it or not, the task to get there has been put in the hands of Donald J. Trump. From my point of view, one of the most important priorities of Trump is to protect the children. Right after his inauguration, he stated that his administration would focus on ending the horrific practice of human trafficking, also referred to as modern slavery. The more I study the subject, the more I understand why Trump is bashing fake news. For years, whistleblowers at the highest levels have been stepping forward with testimonies about child trafficking for the elite. We are talking about a huge criminal organization kidnapping children and selling them to high-ranking officials, from mayors, judges and senators to presidents and even royalty. In 2010, right after the devastating earthquake, 33 children were smuggled out of Haiti. The woman who was arrested, Laura Gaylor Silsby, said they were orphans who were about to be adopted in the US. These kids had simply been abducted, stolen from their parents. She's a close friend of the Clintons, who immediately paid for a lawyer, Jorge Puello, who himself is a convicted pedophile. All of this came out into the open thanks to WikiLeaks that published the secret emails between the Clintons and Laura Gaylor Silsby. Leaked emails further confirm that $3 million were diverted from Haitian relief funds via the Clinton Foundation to pay for Chelsea's extravagant 2010 wedding. Let's go back to one of Q's often repeated sentences. Symbolism will be their downfall. In 2007, the FBI released a bulletin with symbols used by pedophiles to identify their sexual preferences and to communicate where to find both each other and their prey. The blue triangles identify boy lovers, the pink hearts are for girl lovers, and the butterfly is for child lovers in general. These pedophile logos will indeed be their downfall. They are in plain sight, for they never thought people would wake up and see. And why are pedophile logos used for candy and ice cream? Yet another thing that attracts children. There's another prominent place where the FBI symbols of pedophilia can be found, in Hollywood. We briefly saw in part 1 that children cartoons contain references to sex and violence. If you think that sounds crazy, wait till you hear Mel Gibson. The world-famous megastar, both as actor and producer, was blacklisted by Hollywood for stating that Hollywood is a den of parasites who feast on the blood of kids. He took it a whole lot further. Read for yourself. This still image appears in a video clip of a band called Sex Stains, and this is where it gets interesting. They played at Comet Ping Pong, a restaurant in Washington, D.C. Best known for its pizzas, ping pong tables in the basement, high-profile clients such as Hillary Clinton and the Obamas, and a conspiracy theory called Pizzagate. More about which in a bit.
And I can see that from the chat that probably wasn't a popular choice for a video. However, I think it's relevant. It gets more relevant actually with the next clip. But you know, my thing is that I like to. The thing that really bothers me about conspiracy theories in general is when they sort of spill out into real life, and that's really what sort of dragged me into this in the first place. And this is something that spilled out into real life, and I think that that is worth at least commenting on. And I appreciate that it isn't very funny. There's probably not a lot of humour to be found in it. I'll let you get in here in a minute, Kat, I promise. My view is that this is dark, creepy, weird, and vile, quite frankly. I think there are aspects of it, specific mechanics of it, that are designed to appeal to conspiracy theorists. And go ahead, Kat.
Hello. Yeah, no, so I saw this at the beginning of the lockdown, this documentary. Somebody in my life who isn't into conspiracies at all, like, recommended, oh, you got to see this. They were telling me, oh, I'm watching Twitter. Now, my experience of Q has always been that they make these claims something's going to happen, and then it never happens. They've been doing that for a while. And that's happened while I've been watching it since this video. But I must say, I did quite enjoy the video. It's quite optimistic in a certain point of view at the end, because everything's going to be perfect.
That's true. That's true.
With, time traveling Trump was in there, so
right.
I enjoyed that.
And sorry, go ahead. I don't want to interrupt.
But on a more serious note, there is something. I did start checking some stuff when I watched it, and some stuff like you really can't find. It doesn't seem, and then there is stuff that is real as well. So it's a lot of mishmash of information. I would like to know if things like the media did fake that caravan. That really interested me. Was that true?
Right. I mean, I must admit, at the time, I heard that as a sort of an independent idea, and I think that what Q does as well is it seems to borrow from other places when it feels like it. You know, they also present. We didn't see it in that bit, did we? I'm trying to. Basically, this was started live as I think it's a 2.5 hour, 3 hour video, and I managed to get it down to sort of 3 10-minute chunks. But I didn't want to inflict all of that. I'm glad I didn't, judging by the reaction that one got.
There's some seriously horrible stuff in it.
Right,
and
I think my thoughts were that I would maybe miss out the middle one altogether, which is the one that covers all that stuff. So I might do that. And really, the point I was trying to make was, as you said, it does sort of have a happy ending, The idea is that, I mean, it's a spoiler, I guess, but it doesn't really matter because this is utter bullshit, in my opinion, and doesn't really deserve any kind of build-up or anything like that. But it finishes up with this whole thing about. Well, you go ahead, Kat. Maybe can you?
Well, it just finishes. They round up all the bad guys. JFK Jr. comes back. He faked his death because everyone hates Donald Trump, but everyone loves JFK. And then he rules the world as the Antichrist. I don't know. It's all. I have no idea. But it's quite positive because the ending is like everything's going to be cool, and all you have to do is sit back and love Q or whatever. I don't know. It was the Q stuff. I don't find that compelling. There was just some other information in that video, especially the media and things like that I found interesting.
Well, as I was going through it, there was a few things they came up with. It's this person said this and that person said that, and everything I checked was just not true. I mean, there's just barefaced lies in this, and I don't know. I don't know. RSC's saying YouTube are going to pull my video down for that. Well, maybe they will. Although I got it from YouTube. It's all there in
it
its
is on YouTube.
It's there in its entirety with much worse things than that in it. So,
Jen, you should just post the clip. You'll get like 250,000 views.
Yeah,
probably. Go ahead, I was watching that. No, sorry. I was watching that, and I saw the part where that they were talking about how Obama, because I've heard that before, like how they say, this is like Obama and Hillary Clinton's favorite place to play ping pong and get pizza.
Right.
And they show a picture of him playing ping pong, and I'm like, that's not at the pizza place, is it? It looks like that's in the White House.
Right.
Like, what's going on?
And there's been Q has released some fake documents, I think, or it was supposed to be I think it was a White House executive order or something like that, but only showed that the letterhead, and then some people in QAnon, showed that was where they got that from. It's from a quick Google image search, and then I think the response to that was that he was just trolling them or something. I mean, I'm maybe obliterating the history of it a bit, but there have been some things like that go on. And I was shown a list the other day of all the predictions that Q has made that are wrong. There's loads of them. And many of these predictions are really sort of loose things like, something's going to happen near water or, which...
Yeah, I found a lot of that stuff is all... they say, Q is definitely Donald Trump or something. And then they're like, we've got certain evidence. And then when they get to it, it's like, they tweet at the same time. And you think, well, you set up a bot to do that.
It's like cold reading 101.
Yeah, I mean, I thought some of it, but I mean, I haven't dug my head right into all that stuff too much. But I think I would say some of the people in the chat are negative. If you're into this sort of area of being anti-conspiracy, I think there is a big gap in the market here of people not really addressing. We've got really thorough people addressing flat Earth stuff, but
I mean, I did come across a few that were dabbling in it, but I think as well it's one of those things, and I've seen this tactic deployed when I've heard people present some of the arguments that are in this video. The video, by the way, is called Fall Cabal, and people have come in and presented some of that stuff about Jimmy Savile, for instance, and the problem is that they'll come in and say, how come Jimmy Savile was best friends with the Queen? And you're like, well, hold on a minute. You know what I mean? One's like a working class DJ who lives in a caravan, and the other is the fucking Queen. It's not likely they were best friends. He had an OBE, so they certainly met at some point, probably on several occasions because he did all this work for charity. But the problem is, as soon as you raise any kind of defence, if you say anything, you're defending child molesters and you're disgusting, and that's what is so vile about this, because it just slanders people with these most vile, horrible, disgusting allegations. And anyone who says, hold on a minute, where's your evidence for that? It's just thrown in the mix because they defended them. And that's what I hear a lot with this. And that's what I think is really vile about it. And that is why Shills versus Shills, you were timed out in my chat, because that is precisely the slapdash tactic that you used. Don't do that. It's shit. It's shit. You got a big echo now, Kosh, I think. Did you just open your mic? Yeah,
I opened it. I closed it down.
Yeah, you got a bit of an echo. Anyway, have you got anything more on this cat, do you think? I should stress, it does have a happy ending. Another thing I want to say, they borrowed from like the yellow vests. They say, people all around the world are waking up to Q and all that. And they made a whole thing about the yellow vests in France and all these other demonstrations from around the world, sort of appropriating them for Q, when most of those people have probably never even heard of it, got no idea what it is at all,
I think this whole thing, whether the people know about Q or not, though, it like you'll see in the next clip, it does have real world implications more than Flat Earth really does, because a lot of the Flat Earthers are kind of harmless compared to what's, do you know what I mean, what in the clip you've got coming. And it is. I am seeing more and more people, like, they're not really waking up. They're just watching too much YouTube kind of thing and not applying enough critical thought to everything. Right. And I'm seeing those London protests that just went on, and they're all shouting about Bill Gates and things like that. And
right,
it's I think people are definitely. So I'd like to see the media address things properly. Maybe, I don't have any faith in the media, but
go ahead. Sorry, I didn't want to.
Just because I do think it's serious. I think this is, people are asking all kinds of questions and going down kinds of rabbit holes and going mental.
Right.
So,
I was making this point to someone yesterday because I was making a comparison between to some extent at least, between anti-lockdown protests in America and anti-lockdown protests in the UK. Whereas in America, you've got people who are saying, who are there because this is an offence to their rights, to their constitutional, inalienable rights. And I get that totally. But people here aren't really doing that. That's kind of part of it. But most of them are out there because they think 5G is a kill grid or some stupid shit like that. And, that's not a good reason to be out protesting, really. I don't think that way. I mean, even that, what's his name? Piers Corbyn, who's the brother of the ex-leader of the opposition. He's like, what would he be like? I don't know. Hillary Clinton's brother or something a few years ago or something. I don't know. But and even he's coming out with, all sorts of crap that he's got off the internet. But, viruses aren't infectious, or I can't remember quite what he said. But then again, he already has some weird way of predicting the weather that nobody else buys into, apparently. But yeah, so I think that, there is, like the point I made earlier, this stuff is spilling out into real life now, I think, in ways that it maybe hasn't in the past. Although I think you could liken QAnon to like, a witch hunt, really, in the past. Just, fabricating shit about people and then, using that to really defame and attack them. Anyway, we've probably spent long enough.
I still want to see Hillary's emails. Anyone would have gone down for that. That's ridiculous. You can't be just deleting all your emails. Anyway.
Right.
I just want to say again, I'm just thinking about it. It's just like in my head, the whole thing about the Pizzagate and the Comet Pizza Place thing. I mean, it's like these guys, the president, the Secretary of State, they work at the White House. It's like they're making it seem like on the weekends when they get off like a hard day of work, they all go to the pizza place together. Like, that's a cool place to hang out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's the case. I don't think they go to some pizza place to play ping pong together.
Right. That's it. There's bits of it that just don't seem very realistic, or there's bits of it that seem totally lunatic as far as I'm concerned. Large bits of it. Sorry, Kat, I know you like to play with this idea.
Yeah, I don't mind. I like
But
it. I'm always
think
willing to hear people out, whatever all the ways.
I think it's vile and twisted and scary.
There was one thing that stood out to me.
Go ahead,
in that I remember who was promoting this the symbology thing in the Discord not too long ago, and there was an FBI document there presented,
right?
And requests were made, searches were done. I don't recall the outcome. Do you?
I wasn't there for that, but I specifically remember Scott telling me that document was fake, but I don't know where he got that from. But he did say it was completely fake.
That's absolutely huge to me, because in this, I can see. I mean, I was feeling bad watching this because I feel bad for people that aren't very critical, not skeptical, and they just have a propensity to gobble this stuff up. And when you get one side, and then you get bombarded by this one side of the story,
right.
It can be very, very powerful and effective, and really do things to you. And this is an emotionally charged issue, like most of the others aren't.
Right.
This is very different, and when you're going there, I can see it working, but it's all just claims from one side. And when it does come to something that's verifiable, tangible, if that falls apart and is known to be faked, then that just makes me say, forget it.
Right.
If that's the way that they deal, then I got no time to listen to this garbage.
Well, that's how I felt once I started. Once I checked a few things and just thought, well, that person never said anything like that. And then they draw they say, oh, this person also said this, and then you look and say, well, actually, they didn't say that, did they? They're just saying that, people in Hollywood are money grabbing. You know what I mean? They're not actually but they just sort of throw them in and say they did say, you know what I mean? And anyway, that's a good segue actually to the next clips. Let me just read this out. An FBI intelligence bulletin memo from the Phoenix Field Office dated May the 30th, 2019, identified QAnon-driven extremists as, and that is, let me stress that, QAnon-driven extremists. So that does not mean everyone who plays around with this conspiracy. It means people who play around with this conspiracy and are extremists. As a domestic terrorism threat. The first time a fringe conspiracy theory has been labelled as such. The memo cited a number of arrests related to QAnon, some of which had not been publicised before. The memo says that the FBI assesses these conspiracy theories very likely will emerge, spread and evolve in the modern information marketplace, occasionally driving both groups and individual extremists to carry out criminal or violent acts. Here are a couple of examples. The second clip here is a bit disturbing, but hang in there because it does get lighthearted after this, I promise.
And now to breaking news. An engineer at the Port of Los Angeles is accused of trying to ram a train into the USNS Mercy at full speed. The feds say tonight he confessed and told them the ship is not here to help, but instead is part of a federal government plot to control our lives. The train derailed under the span of the Vincent Thomas Bridge and ended up just a couple of hundred yards away from the U.S. Navy ship Mercy that was docked in the port of L.A. Tonight, KCAL9's Stacey Butler has the latest on the suspect's apparent motive.
The bizarre derailment ended here, just 250 yards from the U.S. naval ship Mercy, docked at the port of Los Angeles. It has non-COVID hospital patients on board. Federal agents say 44-year-old Eduardo Moreno, the train engineer, purposely ran it off the tracks. They say his intention was to crash it into the USNS Mercy. Just before 12:30 Tuesday afternoon, a CHP officer says he saw Moreno purposefully run the train off the tracks through concrete and steel barriers, through a chain link fence and 3 unoccupied cars before it finally came to a stop. Luckily, no one was hurt. That CHP officer and Port Police took Moreno into custody. He apparently told the CHP officer he believed the USNS Mercy was tied to a government plot. He said, "The whole world is watching. I had to. People don't know what's going on here. Now they will." He was taken into custody, where he told FBI agents he did it out of a desire to wake people up. Moreno stated that he thought the USNS Mercy was suspicious and did not believe the ship is what they say it's for. Moreno says he acted alone and didn't plot this out ahead of time. He now faces up to 20 years in prison. From the Port of Los Angeles Police Department, Stacey Butler, KCAL 9 News.
I need help.
What's up? What's wrong?
I think I'm the coronavirus.
Turn off your car.
I'm scared too. I don't want you to hurt me.
Nobody's gonna hurt you.
Please.
We're gonna try to get you the help you need, okay? But I need you to turn off your car.
Can I keep my phone with me?
Yeah, you can have your phone. I need you to turn off your car.
I'm so scared.
I understand. But we need you to turn off your car, okay?
I'm at the comfort, you guys.
Just turn off your car for me, ma'am.
Okay.
What's your name?
Jessica.
Jessica, turn off the car for me, please.
My legal name is Jessica Prim.
Say again?
My legal name is Jessica Prim.
Okay,
It's
Jessica,
not my
the reason I need you to turn off your car so we can talk and hear each other better, okay? There's a lot of other cars in the area. It makes it loud. What kind of symptoms are you having?
It's...
You short of breath? Coughing? What's going on? What happened today?
I think I'm Babylon.
What?
I'm so scared. I'm like right by Hell's Kitchen. I'm like right by Hell's Kitchen, you guys. So I'm terrified that they're gonna hurt me.
Can you open the door? I'm so scared. There's no to be scared. You're right here. We're here to help you.
Oh, please, God, please help me.
Unlock the door. I'm not gonna talk to you.
Please. Please, God, help me.
Unlock the door. Just want to open the door just so I can talk.
Why can't you talk to me right here?
Because it's hard to hear you.
I can hear you.
But it's hard to hear you out here. We got all the cars passing. I'm not going to touch you.
I'm really scared.
What are you scared of? What happened?
Okay. I was researching the coronavirus. I want you to know I'm on Facebook Live right now, okay?
What happened?
Okay, I'm going to open the door because I'm on Facebook Live. You guys...
What happened?
Hi.
Jessica, right? Okay, so we're here to help you. What happened? What's going on? What happened today?
I was watching the press conferences with Donald Trump on TV, okay? I felt like he was talking to me, okay? Somebody sent me the YouTube video, Fall of Cabal, and I watched part 5. I don't know if you've seen it.
Part 5?
Part 5.
Part 5?
It talks about the elite eating children. Maybe I can show it all to you, okay? It's all over my Facebook.
So this all started with Facebook tonight? And
No, this is not. This has been going on for a couple weeks. I felt like I had to come here to the ship because I needed help.
Okay. Can I answer a personal question?
I feel like I'm the coronavirus, and by me talking about what I found...
You're not the coronavirus, but listen, Jessica, we're here to help you, all right? I got to ask you a couple personal questions. You
take like any medication?
No.
Is there anything you're supposed to be taking that you
no.
didn't take?
You can look up my record. I smoke pot, but that is it. That's it. You can take my blood.
When's the last time you smoked?
I smoke every day, to be honest with you. Okay. Like, I'm not even gonna lie.
Like recently?
Oh yeah. Like I smoke every day.
Okay.
Throughout the day.
Gotcha.
I don't even drink. I don't even drink.
Well, we got an ambulance on its way, all right? So
they're just gonna come check you out. Just
because
because
so you, make sure
you
you're
said
okay.
you're very nervous, you're very scared right now.
Can I show you?
It can get your blood pressure up and everything.
Can I show you what I found? Like for real.
What did you find? It was all on Facebook, you said, right?
It's not on Facebook.
Jessica, just do me a favor and hop outside the vehicle real quick.
Yeah,
I'm really shaky because it's
come
really
out
overwhelming.
Just come out the vehicle.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard about the kids?
Yeah.
Okay. Like, I'm not lying.
All right, come here. I'm just going to place you in handcuff, all right? You're not under arrest. You're detained at the moment for your safety and ours, okay?
You're putting me in handcuffs, you guys.
That's good. Special Agent Dobson with the Secret Service. What's going on today?
Come on. Come on.
You're not in trouble. We're just trying to figure. I didn't say you did. What's the reason why you came here? What's going on?
I felt like I was supposed to come to the comfort and get some help. I felt like I was the coronavirus.
Do you have anything in this vehicle that's dangerous?
I had knives in there because I was scared.
Okay. Do you have anything on your person that's dangerous?
No.
Okay. Do you have any firearms in there?
Yeah, definitely not.
Explosives?
No.
Anything that other than
I'm a fire dancer, so I have like fire sand, but I don't even have like fluid.
What's in the tub?
Just like supplies, I guess. Like
step this
way.
Clothes. Okay, you're gonna step over here for a second.
I have
This is gonna work. Search.
That was a bit heavy going, wasn't it? She actually uploaded some more videos after that. The cops let her go.
She didn't get the help she needed then, because she needed help. Really.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Secret Service got her. That was a Secret Service guy that was asking her some of the questions there at the end. They let her go after a bit. They searched her truck and gave it back to her. She didn't seem to be short of money. She got herself a hotel in New York, and you know, then she uploaded some more videos after that. So she seemed to be all right. Anyway, she had gone to the ship, the Comfort. She had apparently got knives on her, although I think they might be part of her acts. She's a dancer or something. And but apparently she'd made threats against Joe Biden on Facebook. But I thought it was interesting because she specifically names that video that we've just watched, episode 5, which we're right at the end. We saw the first few seconds of, so which is where it gets to, you know, the gates that will remain nameless. Let's say. So yeah, so you know, and both of, you know, the train incident as well. Although they didn't really spell it out, that was another one where people there's some bit in queue, as far as I know.
It's all part of the same thing.
Yeah, they're saying that these ships are being used to keep children in, or some nonsense along those lines.
You see, I'd heard the ships were being used to rescue all the children. So
no, that might be it. That may be it. Yeah, I mean,
he's trying to crash a train into it. So they're all there. You know, there's so many different stories.
Right. So yeah. And I saw this other thing. I don't know if you know about this, but there seemed to be like some sort of camp somewhere where they're like sending out search teams from. Do you know anything about that?
Camp? So, no.
Yeah, like QAnon camp. You know,
what like to train in QAnon? The ways
yeah, they're like sending out... that's maybe a story for another week.
I've not heard about that.
There are humorous elements in this, because that, I think, was probably that camp thing was maybe quite funny.
I thought that was quite a hero's clip for a way, because that's such a sort of galaxy brain idea to try and run a train into a ship.
Right? Yeah, I know.
Some way off the rail, I guess.
I know. I mean, he was a train engineer, they said, so you know what I mean? He must have had some idea of how far it would travel, but I don't know.
Well, didn't he say he thought about it last minute? He just sort of This is my chance.
You know,
Save the world.
yeah. Sorry, Cat Earth. No, man, that's good though. The QAnon camp right just in time for summer. Sounds kind of fun, actually. But I don't know if this is a bad thing, but when you said Dan, because I watched this, I thought she was so annoying, and the act was so weak. Like the cop fell for it, but it's like she's putting the whole thing on. But anyway, I don't know. When you said something, you said 19 Knives and Dancer. Something I was like, I want to look this girl up, dude.
Well,
she seems like
she refers to, her name's Jessica Prim. She refers to herself as a stripper, but she in that when the cops are talking to her, they ask her if she's got anything explosive or something like that on her, and she says she's got fuel for her fire dancing. So I think she does like fire eating and stuff like that, and she also talked about how she was sort of sticking sequins on a costume or something like that when she was watching the Donald Trump press conferences. So so I think that's what she does.
Well, I gotta tell you, I'm intrigued. I want to see if she's single, because I don't know if she's she sounds like an exciting kind of
dude. She's messed up, mate. You don't want to be with her.
All those
Maybe
she doesn't even drink.
Sorry?
You said she doesn't drink?
She doesn't even drink. She'll be fine.
Right. I did like her. She has got like bright green hair, and I did like her bright green hair. I did think that was cool. And she had a cool tattoo as well, actually. Well, actually, it was a pretty horrible tattue. But
really? Come on. Sorry.
It was colourful. It was a colourful tattoo, but when she actually described what it was something awful.
I thought that was a truly awful tattoo. I've got to say.
What can you say bad about a chick that balls for that line? I'm putting you in these handcuffs for your protection.
They're saying we're shouting, so I've whacked the sound down a bit. How's that? Is that any better? God, there's a load of moaning bastards in here tonight, aren't there?
Oh, they're really grumpy.
Well, they are the audience, though. We are here to please them, aren't we? And clearly,
is it me again now?
Clearly, no. Well, they just. Clive's just said, "Why is everyone shouting?"
My bad.
I think maybe he's referring to the chat actually, because there's a few.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I'm really looking. I looked this person up. I don't know. You said Jessica Prim or something like that.
Prim, P-R-I-M.
Prim.
Might be
okay.
too.
Yeah. The only thing that I'm worried about is the fact that she does seem like the whole. If you're willing to go and be that dramatic, which, like I said, this whole thing seemed like an act. You're being that dramatic in front of the police, telling them that you smoke weed and all this other stuff, and that's the whole thing's an act. And that is a kind of a whole another level of nuts.
Yeah, I don't think maybe she'd worked herself up into a bit of a tears, but I mean, I want to stress kind of what I tried to stress before is she's not a typical a believer or a person who's involved in this, but she is an example of what Curve was talking about, someone who is already bonkers, I guess, or at least susceptible to being, and has attached their delusions, I guess, attached their mental illness, the problems that's causing, to this conspiracy. Maybe. I think I kind of got out what I was trying to say there. Shall we move on? Shall we move on to something more fun? Because
we have gone down a bit, haven't we?
We have, and that's why I stuck that in the middle, so I'd got somewhere to recover to. Right. So
back to laughing at flatties, yeah.
I've even written that in the script. It says, and now to lighten the mood a little, I hope. You may remember last week we ended up talking about piss-drinking flatty and prospective domestic terrorist, allegedly Dave's electric unicycle. As promised, here he is calmly dealing with the police, aided by the ever-benevolent Roxanne, the globalist denier.
I think hypothetically, it's constructive to even think like that, because for me, I can't get that. I can't do it. I'll break my neck doing that. This is where the police will end up getting involved. Yeah, this will be the one time the police go right off the wheels. How are you both dealing with the legalities of this?
You
because
just seen the police are behind
yeah,
us.
and
They've
people have got electric scooters.
Did you see how they started to walk over and they're like, what do we do?
They can't find you. Just be like, I'm not a British citizen.
Well, okay.
You never know. So how do you deal with the legalities of this? Because there's a lot of people, you just carry on.
Yeah, I've got 4 lights on the back. You know, I carry a torch as well, you know, just so that I can flash it into the cars to be aware. But I just say, just ride with pride and live confident on the road. If you see the police, don't be scared. So don't fear the police. They don't even understand the law themselves. I actually turned around and said to them, it's pedal assisted, because it is it's just a modern version. You just don't understand that it's a new way of cycling.
You know, Dave, I've really not chosen the right outfit to do this in. I'm having a little lesson. Yeah.
Yep, right. You're not allowed to do a lesson here. Unfortunately, these things are just electric powered. They're not foot powered like the old scooter. They are actually illegal. We wanted to film her falling off. They are illegal in the UK at first. The DVLA have not given them license.
Illegal to use anywhere.
If you're caught on the street, do you have a driving license?
No, I do.
If you ride in one of these on the street, you'll get a £300 fine and 6 points on your license.
Well, I'd go straight to court and argue it, officer. So that's not going to work on me, you know. You can find me all you want. Honestly, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I'm already well informed.
I'll give you a pamphlet. We've got a leaflet on it explaining all about it.
Yep.
Explaining all about
There's
it.
hundreds of people using these across the city.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
You've just let me finish.
But we're all aware. We're all adults, so we're aware. You're assuming that we don't know.
No, you're not aware because you didn't know that they were illegal. Okay.
I'm letting you go on, officer.
No, you are.
I'm indulging you. I'm indulging you, to be honest with you.
Interrupting me. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm talking to these two because they were using them.
I
They're
was
not
just
allowed to
using it
use
a
them in the
second
park.
ago.
They're not allowed to use them on the road. Okay. I can give you an information sheet that will bring you up to date.
Cool.
Okay.
I don't understand the law anyway.
That's fine. Not a problem.
Okay, officers, I'll just say that
I don't
I
understand
understand
it.
your frustration.
I just came to give you friendly advice.
I totally get where you're coming from.
And trying to help you to save you £300 because I'm not going to do the £300.
Can we not have a conversation?
You can have the conversation. By
That's
all
assuming
means.
people are going to pay the fine in the first place.
So anyway, what I'm trying to say
Not many people are doing that, Dave.
we've already had, you know.
I'll go and get the information sheet. Give
No,
it
no,
to
no,
you.
it's fine,
and
it's
leave
fine.
it at
No, just take
We
your
understand
time.
you've got a
Take your
job to
time.
do. We understand that, you know. As I said, we understand that you have a job to do, but me personally, I don't stand under the law personally, so that's for me to
in
do.
the parks, when the police officer's around, you have to.
I don't,
Okay?
sorry.
That's what I
Yeah,
said.
I don't. No, it's okay, I don't. It's fine. I'm polite, officer. I understand you have a job to do, but you don't have to be rude, officer.
Right, okay,
Yeah?
can you get off it to carry it? Yeah? You're not
As I said, officer, I understand you're paid by the hour, officer. No one's trying to be rude, officer.
You're not riding in here at all.
No one's trying to be rude, officer.
It's illegal. You can walk it, you can carry it.
Officer, you're assuming people are agreeing with what you're saying, officer, but we understand that you're paid to do a job, officer.
Because it is illegal. It is
But,
illegal. It is illegal. It is not a bicycle. Where's your pedals?
Here.
No,
It's a modern
It
pedal.
does not have pedals.
It's
Right.
got
It is
pedals.
totally.
What we've got here is police officers that are like jobs worth.
You just asked for
Jobs worth.
You may not ride them in the park.
Okay.
Thank you.
What do we say, officer? What do we say to the thousands of people across London that are riding
We
them at the
stop.
moment?
We stop any that we
However,
find
they
in the
carry on,
parks.
officer.
That's
However,
up to them. But
they
you are not
remain
staying with
purchasing
me
them.
here.
That's
You are
fine.
not staying.
That's fine. And as soon as you turn your back, they'll be back on them like other people are.
Okay, well, if
across
you'd like
the
to
city.
walk them out of the
No, I'm
out of
saying
the
other
park.
people in the city,
Right,
sir.
okay,
What
I
I'm
think you
asking
need to walk them out of the park today
for what reason?
because I'm directing you to leave the
Okay,
park.
and if people
under
don't
the
adhere to
Parks
that,
and
what are you
Road
going to do?
Spaces
If people
Regulations
don't adhere to that, what are you
1997.
going to do
You can be arrested for that.
for that?
Yes.
And you're
For
making an
failing-
example. I can
failing
tell
to
because you're
leave the
triggered,
park.
officer.
Right, what I need you to do is to get off and walk them out of the park.
So that's triggered.
Carry,
That's triggered.
Carry it out of the park.
What we've got here is the authority bearing down here.
Have I actually done anything? Have I done anything?
You're riding.
Is it moving?
This is being streamed live as well, officer.
Just carry it out of the park.
I will go over there.
No,
but...
I'm asking you. I'm directing you.
So you're now
to
making
carry
a point
it
of
out
this, aren't you,
So
officer?
you're demanding me to...
You're making a point of this, aren't you, officer? Because you are triggered.
Under the Royal Parks and other...
It's being streamed live on YouTube, officer. I'll just let you know that.
I'm not riding, officer.
Device.
Officer, I'm just letting you know you're being streamed live on YouTube.
Okay, but
officer, this is being streamed live, officer.
Standing on it.
Officer, it's been streamed live. You're making a point, officer, and the public can see that, officer. The public can see you're making a net unnecessary point. I'm letting you know. You're directing me. What by? Can you tell me why you're asking me to leave the park? Get your hands off me. Why are you asking me to leave the park? All I was doing was saying you're being live streamed. I'm not holding one. You didn't have to put your hands on me. You didn't have to put your hands on me. Get your hands off me, officer. I don't need to leave the park. I don't need to leave the park, officer. No one needs to leave the park, officer. You don't need to be like that, officer.
We come here every Sunday.
You're live on YouTube. I haven't got a wheel, so I don't need to go anywhere. I don't need to. I haven't got a wheel. These aren't my wheels. There's my camera. Look, my camera's live streaming you right now. You're making your point with me, though, officer, aren't you? You're making your point with us. My camera's over there. I've had enough of this. I've had enough of it. He's had enough of us. He's going to make a point. Look. Writing their tickets out. What do you think, chat room?
That's how you deal with the police.
That's how you deal with them. Look, they're off to write you 2 tickets. Look.
What? But did you see me riding? Since he told me, was I
bad.
riding? I was standing on it.
It's really bad.
No, let him come here.
You're not riding. You're just standing on it.
Unless he's going to arrest me, he's not getting my details.
I'll tell you what. Just so you know, let me just say this, guys. The trolls didn't work on us today. The police have come away from that whole crowd over there to get the only people that are talking constructiveness here out of the park. That's what's going on.
What this is all about?
They've not come to anyone else. They want us out the park today. I told you this earlier on. And I don't stand under the law. I don't answer questions. I do not submit myself to these laws. I don't. And if I end up incarcerated over it, Dave, then oh well.
I went through 5 years of doing that.
Yeah. Did you notice that it's us two that are with the wills, but they targeted you?
Yeah.
What's that about?
Oh, because it's the PC thing, isn't it? If they purposely go for you.
Yeah, it starts looking a bit obvious, doesn't it?
Well, yeah. So, yeah, that's what they've handed out. Oh, got more police car now. Everyone in the chat room and everyone watching saw exactly how that went down. There was no clips missed out. There was no bits edited. Everyone saw how that went from 0 to 100 real quick. And, you know, that's why I kept on reiterating to the officer, remember, you're being streamed live on YouTube. I was trying to give him a heads up. Don't do this to yourself. Don't be a job's worth and then go over and beyond that and then be triggered because you're going to be streamed live, mate. You're going to do that. Don't.
Our old friend, the ever benevolent Roxanne, doing her thing at Speaker's Corner. That was a few weeks ago. It wasn't too long ago, just before lockdown started. So, gosh, I can't remember how long that is.
About 20 years after E17, as Captain Bullshit said.
Somebody needs to mute that bitch. She would not stop talking.
No, I mean, she totally escalated that, didn't she? You know, she's going on about how they escalated it at the end, but it was her that all they did was come over and say, look, you can't do that. Let me give you a flyer about it. That would have been it. But she made it into this great, monstrous thing.
Yeah, she's got to.
And she said, and he goes, you'll get 6 points on your license. She goes, and I'd go to court and argue it, officer, so that won't work on me. Yeah, and you would lose. You know?
I saw that, and I was thinking, I think Riley's given her some extra confidence. She's always been a little difficult, but I think that I was watching, I was thinking it'd be a funny show. I was just thinking of Riley as like a lawyer show where Riley's just called to solve all these or defend her in all these cases against Ranty, and then defend her again against the unicycle police cop in the park.
Right.
It's just stupid. It's like stupid petty stuff that you don't need to start fights over.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, did she do that to distract the officer when he asked, "Do you have a driver's license?" Dave probably shit a brick because he doesn't have one. No way.
But I don't know why. She says, "Oh, these people all over London riding these." Well, these people all over London mugging people, but it doesn't mean they don't bother to try and catch muggers. Well, actually, they don't really bother to try and catch muggers, do they? But
there is people all over London riding them, but they're all getting pulled over.
Right. And it's not a new thing. The device itself is new, but you've never been able to ride a motorised vehicle on a pavement that isn't like, if you're not disabled, you've never been able to do that. So, it's just more of the same, and if you stick it on a road, well, then you need all the shit that everybody else needs to ride a vehicle on the road, and why shouldn't you?
They're super dangerous as well.
Right, you could damage another person or hurt somebody else or hurt yourself where you need insurance, right? So then you need insurance. Then, and if you're going to do that, the insurance company is going to want to know that the device you're on is safe. So then it's going to need an MOT every year. So, you know what I mean? She's not in reality if she thinks that they're ever going to let people be bombing around on them, unless they might let them in cycle tracks. I know they do. They let some electric vehicles in here. So in the cycle tracks.
No, I'm curious about the laws there because when he said that, I was like, wait, what? Like you can't ride in the grass. But here in America, like we have the motorized skateboards, we have like the scooter services that you can grab. Although they tell you when you rent those scooters that you have to ride on the sidewalk. But is that what he's saying and you're saying, is that you can't even ride those on the sidewalk?
Right.
If it's a motorized vehicle?
Yeah, you can't. You can ride.
The police are quite like lenient, right? So this was more like happened last year. Like there was people riding this because you remember those like stupid little 2-footed things you'd stand on.
Yeah, hoverboard things. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, like they're like because they're not too. They kind of pose a danger to yourself, but they're not too bad. They're quite light. These things are quite heavy, do you know what I mean? And they go quite fast, and you could really like hurt yourself seriously. I mean, I had a customer who had one who used to come in, and it's quite terrifying watching people. I wouldn't try it.
They did seem quite proficient on it when they were wazzing around. I tried to show a little bit of that, but there's not a lot of time in the video to show it. But they did seem to be able to,
But they go a lot faster than that, Jim. Like on the road, they go really fast. Like I think almost up to 20 miles an hour or something. You imagine something on like that. Like,
wow, yeah. You've got no protection whatsoever, have you? And she says at one point, I don't know whether we caught it there, but she talks about how she says, "Oh yeah, I have lights and I have a torch that I shine in the cars so that they can see me." I think she's going around shining a torch in other drivers' eyes. Is she mad?
Yes, they're all mad.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, honestly. Sorry, go ahead, Mr. Gerbs.
I was saying yes, she is mad.
Yeah, she certainly is.
She's out there walking around like wearing is that professional equipment that she had on her legs there? The knee pads. Is that some kind of a sign? For business? What's up with that?
Oy vey. Given the choices between them, after seeing one after the other, in contrast, the Jessica chick and her, I still choose the Jessica crazy over that crazy. The Roxanne, that's a little bit too difficult for me.
That's not very benevolent of you, Kosho.
No, you keep doing this, Kosho. You're a bit horny at the moment, aren't you? I think maybe you should take a cold shower. You keep weighing up. Who were you talking about the other night?
Anybody.
It's like Marge Simpson or Hillary Clinton.
Oh, come on.
I can't remember who it was.
Marge Simpson, come on. No, I mean, it really could have been anybody, though.
Yeah.
I'm in heat, probably.
One more thing, can we mention? Like, did anyone see Ranty's community post where he's posted?
Oh yeah, we must talk about this, mustn't we? We must.
Yeah, so
go on, tell the story. Go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry. Oh, do you want to tell it?
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, he's posted a community post a few hours ago, and he's put all of their lawsuit in the text, and after that, he's put his countersuit that he's going to be doing. It's massive. He's like got all the like super chats logged, but he's countersuing Roxanne for £10,000 for pain and suffering, defamation of character, loss of earnings.
Oh my god.
Oh, so the show continues. I think it's pretty funny read. I don't think he's got a good case for £10,000.
No, I think because in those sort of cases, you have to be able to show, as far as I understand it, you have to be able to show that loss. You know, you have to be able to say, look, here's my books, here's my income for weeks leading up to said event, and here's my income after the said event, and that's how I can say I've lost 10,000 quid. Or here's my letter saying I had this deal on the table before said event. Here's my letter telling me they're not going to deal with me anymore afterwards, you know. It's something like that. If you can show that you've lost money, but I don't think he
made money. Samo gave him money on his cry stream about it.
Right. I don't think he can show that. And if he's talking about things like, what else did you say? You know, did you say stress or emotion?
Oh, it was pain and suffering.
Right. Yeah. Well, you know, you'd have to be able to go to a doctor. They're not just going to take his word for it that he's had pain and suffering. You know, for someone to pay out like that, they're going to want the doctor's opinion to say what his pain and suffering was. So,
but Roxanne doesn't have 10 grand. I mean, in the owner report, he acknowledges she had £32.
Right, and then they have to attach a cost to that pain and suffering. So, like in the same way as you would in a car accident, you know, they have to say what that cost you to you know, to have that pain and suffering, and that is based on what you earn, what time you had off, what you know, whether your injury is, you know, for instance, you know, if you have a bruise from an injury, that's worth more than if you aren't bruised, and depending on where you're bruised, that makes a difference. Actually, they told me when I was in my car accident, as a man, if you're bruised on your leg like I was, that doesn't get you anything. But if you're a woman, it does.
Right.
Because a woman is more likely to have her legs exposed, apparently, than a man.
Okay.
I know. So it's a complicated affair, and it's based on reality, not just what somebody dreamed up because they thought it would be clever, you know? You've got to be able to show where those costs are coming from, I think.
Do you not think as well it's like a little bit greedy? Because like that's insane figure. Like I'd understand if he's countersuing for a 1,000 or 2,000 because it's wasting his time. It's pretty. I think it's a malicious suit, in my opinion. I've really lost respect for them because it's just silly. Like the guy who paid them has said where he wants the money to go. I mean, what they're trying to do, they're trying to rob him right now.
I think maybe the idea is to scare them off, isn't it? It's to say, well, look, okay, go ahead and sue me, but you're going to get sued in return, and you might lose.
Yeah, they might offer him some of it. You know, I don't know if they really care. Do they get upset if you try and get greedy and sue for too much, or do they just say, well, yeah, you can have... Because he should be compensated in a way, because I think they are wasting time, wasting the court's time, wasting his time.
That would be... And I think that would just be costs, wouldn't it? They would say that was costs. It wouldn't be any of that stuff that he's dreamed up. It would just be his costs. So how much it cost him to travel there, and an hourly rate... you know, for the time that he had to spend preparing the documents for it, being there himself, what his lawyer cost him if he got a lawyer, you know, all of those things, you know, would be costs, right? And you could claim those, but the lawyers, of course, would want their money, as you know what I mean. You wouldn't get to keep it; they would have it. So,
well, yeah, no, but they should be. You know, I think. I think it's perfectly reasonable to countersue for that. But the 10,000, I was a bit like,
right,
that's a bit greedy. I know they're all a bit, you know, but I just think he's obviously pissed off. Do you know?
He should countersue for £1,000, something like that. You know,
yeah,
because that would could realistically happen, he could probably justify that sort of a cost. And, you know, they'll almost certainly lose. And I think it would probably be enough. You know what I mean? But like you say, if she's got no money, it wouldn't matter. She'll just get a CCJ and he'll get nothing, or he'll get 50p a week for the rest of his life or whatever. You know what I mean? But if she's got no money, there's no point. You know, no point suing anyone who hasn't got anything. How are you what are you going to get off them if they've got nothing to start with?
Well, that's what I mean, and he knows that, and it all just seems a bit mean. Do you know what I mean? In a way, but when he should, I think he has a good opportunity to really take the high ground here. Really, because I don't know. Although I'm surprised, well, not surprised, how many flat earthers are on Riley's side on this. I just think it's, you know, legal jargon, just trying to weasel some money out of. Yeah, I really do. I just think he should have stopped at the point where Sam made it public to everyone where he wanted money to go and blah, 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 and just said, well, you know.
Art Drexis, yeah, we are talking about the ranty suit.
Sorry, it was boring, everyone.
Well, no, Art Drexis is our resident lawyer, but it's probably a bit late to drag you in here, Art Drexis. But if you've got an opinion on it, please dump it in the chat by all means.
Well, this story will continue, won't it? So
yeah. It looks like we're going to get some more out of this one. Have there been any videos on it? I haven't really been. I don't watch Riley. I kind of make a point of not watching him. And
he's done loads of sort of just like he's a big fan of Judge Rinder right now. He's been playing to prove his point. Loads of Judge Rinder clips. That's like a UK Judge Judy for Americans, like.
Right.
He's a very camp judge. He's quite entertaining. And yeah, he's been using that as his, which I think would be great because I think Judge Rinder would actually take their case.
Right. Yeah, definitely. That would be good material for them. And I think Riley would love that, you know.
Oh, it'd be brilliant. I'd love it. Can you imagine? They've definitely. Maybe we should send it to them and they could get in contact. They will not be able to resist the.
Do you know what? That's a fucking great idea, mate. I like that idea. Definitely.
Done.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's organise that tomorrow. We'll call Judge Rinder immediately the show finishes.
Yeah.
They're a perfect candidate.
Oh, yeah.
So, shall we move on to our final clip?
Yeah.
Let's do it. And finally, for this week, a story with a happy ending, which I am not going to show you, but I will tell you about it after we've watched the clip. I've tried really hard not to, but I just cannot help but like this guy. Here for a second coming is Flat Earth Watertown, New York.
I'm recording tonight for my YouTube channel called Flat Earth Watertown, New York. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to start off tonight with thanking you for allowing me to do the interview. I've had a lot of my subscribers want to let you know that there's a lot of people that want to thank you for giving me the time to speak to me about the shape of the earth. Now, I've come in here tonight to ask if you've made the phone call to Congresswoman to let her know that I would like to be speaking with her. If you made an email or a phone call to her. And the other thing I want to bring up tonight is a 102-year-old woman named Miss Ruth. Now, Miss Ruth was born in 1918, and she went to school right over in Connecticut, not far from here. And she gives a testimony that when she went to school in the 1920s, she was taught the earth was indeed flat and motionless. Water's above, God's throne sitting above all, God's truth was taught. And then sometime after the war is when they switched it to the globe. Now, Miss Ruth went almost 80 years believing that the earth was spinning around the sun moving. When you believe in the heliocentric lie, that is sun worship. That's devil worship. So you got any good Christians in here? Mayor, you told me you were Catholic. Read Genesis chapter 1. Any good Christians in here? But I'm telling you, a 102-year-old lady 2 weeks ago just found out that she was confused. She cried out to God and said, "Where are you, God?" She didn't know where God was, because when you believe in the Big Bang heliocentric model, where's God in all that? It's a lie. The Big Bang never happened. All right? We're created by the hand of God. We're created in the image of God. All right? You can, and it's a city issue. This is what I don't understand with this panel and the mayor here. You keep saying it's a federal or a state issue, but it's not. I was born in this city. I was taught the globe in this city. All right? It's an issue here. Now, Watertown's leading the nation in flat earth reform. All right? There is hundreds of people on my page alone that are tuning in on News Junkie right now through the links to figure out what's going on here in Watertown. Pretty soon, when the weather clears, there's going to be so many flat earthers coming to Watertown, you guys will not be able to you guys can't keep pushing me back and say, he doesn't know what he's talking about. All right, I got real science. Now, one of you guys is contacting me. I handed over military documents proving a flat, motionless Earth. NASA admits that everything's a CGI animation. All right? I'll continue to come every time until somebody takes me serious. Everybody looks at me and makes fun of me and laughs and snickers and goes on the radio and says some things. Oh, you shouldn't be saying this. Nah, listen, you can say all you want. All I'm doing is defending the truth. All right, God's word. How many good Christians we got up in here? Read your Bible. Go to Genesis chapter 1. That's what I'm saying. People say you can't bring God into government. Well, listen, we're in the state of this country because we took God out of the government, we took God out of schools, and now we're teaching everybody lies. You got kids that believe they can have sex changes, all right? We got kids coming thinking that we came from monkeys. We didn't come from monkeys. And then when you teach them the lie, they don't know where God is. God's right above us, everybody. And that's what I wanted to say. I just want to thank you all for my time. I'm passionate because I'm fired up over this, and I will continue to do this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here, record this. Just record me. Good.
Don't do it, bro.
Fight for your rights. America is under siege. Free America, free Earth.
Card from City Hall. So there's the letter from City Hall. Right there, barred from entering City Hall premises, signed by Kenneth Mix. This isn't legal. You can't bar me from participating in government. You cannot bar me from participating in government, all right? They're saying that flipping the flag is inappropriate and unacceptable behavior. An upside-down flag means a nation in distress, all right? It's perfectly acceptable right now. So guess what? It's not lawful. This is a scare tactic. See, look at that. Barred me from City Hall. Can't go to City Hall. All right, here they come for not wearing a mask. So they want to kick me off for not wearing a mask, everybody. No mask.
You gotta go, Bob.
No, I don't. Well, a mask restricts your breathing. I don't have to.
Yeah, you do. It's policy for them. You have to get off.
I don't have to. That's a medical exemption.
Get off.
I have a medical exemption.
Doesn't matter.
A mask restricts my breathing.
Doesn't matter. You have to get off.
How about a refund? Do I get my refund?
I have no idea.
She just told me to ask you.
He knows the rule. Yeah, we know it does. Yeah.
Well, listen, I don't need to.
Let's go. Yeah, you do. You gotta go.
All right.
Off the bus. Come on.
I want the paperwork so I can sue the city of Watertown, sue City Bus, and sue the Watertown City Police for violating my rights. Normally, there's right in that city court office is where I can get it. Okay. So this is the information that she just told me. So I got to go over here to get over to Jefferson County Court to get the paperwork. So let's go over there. That's the lady that enforced the rules. So we'll find out who she is. All right, here's the Jefferson County Court Complex. Let's see if they're even open. Yep, they're open. Hello. I need to,
Do you have a mask?
I do not own one. And that's actually why I'm here. I'm here to get a lawsuit paperwork because the city said this is my camera for my YouTube channel. I'm recording. I am. So they're making me wait in the middle here, and because I don't got a mask on and I refuse to have a mask. So we'll see what they have to say. So we'll go from there. So after all that, they say I got to go back to City Hall where I'm banned. So let's go back over to City Hall. So I'm back here at City Hall, and Officer Yacht said that he's gonna arrest me if I come here. Well, guess what? I'm here to file a lawsuit against the police, the city, and city bus. So, I mean, where else am I supposed to do it? All right, we're back over here where I was told to come, but this is locked. All right, so I just got off the phone with the city clerk. She's gonna help me out, and let's go from there.
And that was Flat Earth, Watertown, New York. And
I really like this guy. Is he new?
I do. No, he's been around a while. I like him though. And you know what? The funny thing is, he uploaded a video earlier today or last night where he's now got another letter from the city, which is a total climb down, right? And they say, yeah, it's basically, it's like the first letter, and it says, you're barred unless you've got business with the council, or you've got a pre-arranged meeting, or you need to attend the council meeting, a public council meeting. It basically said, you're completely barred from coming here unless you want to come here. You know, all the reasons he could possibly want to go there for, unless it was specifically to flip a flag, he can go there for. You know.
Right. Yeah, they can't really ban him, can they? I mean, that's the thing. They all look like they're just sitting there in like silence, like, oh my god, when's he going to finish talking? They've got to listen to him.
You know, he's not as daft as he looks, though. You know what I mean? Because he wasn't prepared to let that go, and they had to. You know, they realised they can't go around banning someone from a public building. You know. So.
I loved it when he was outside the courthouse and he said, normally I get the papers to sue the council from over there.
Right. Yeah. He's also, you know, he's been doing some sort of one-man protests against lockdown. And he basically just goes and stands in the centre of his town with, he usually wears sort of bright orange or something, and he's got a sign, you know, basically written on a bit of cardboard. And he just stands there with that for hours on end, you know. And he even says when he goes live for a bit, and he goes, if you want another angle, they've got a webcam up there somewhere. You can see me from another angle. And it's just him standing there on, you know, a sort of a junction, you know, with his sign.
Brilliant. He's a character.
But I like the guy, you know. I like him. I thought it was funny that he, you know, he wins this battle with them, you know what I mean? Which I sort of didn't expect.
Yeah. Oh, the patience. I thought they were everyone's quite patient with him.
Right.
Even the police. I'm not going to argue about this. Just get off the bus.
Yeah.
Do I get a refund? Oh, God, I can't.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't... You know what I mean? I don't
But he's
know.
probably right. He probably should get a refund.
Right. I mean, I was hoping Lewis would be here because we could ask him. You know, he knows about that
All
sort
right,
of stuff.
yeah.
And I was wondering what his view on that would have been. Because I don't know. I mean, should they be forcing people to wear masks? I guess. I don't know. I think maybe
The bus, the company, really. I guess at the end of the day, I think that's the point.
Right.
They say like, that's their policy. You don't have to get on the bus, but maybe you should because it's public. I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of think you should because I kind of, to me, it feels like I think a bus is like that's definitely going to be a place for infection to occur, isn't it? You know what I mean? You can't sort of be in it without touching it in lots of places, mostly. You know, I mean, here on the bus route I live on, I mean, every bus is packed. You know, well, I don't know how many they hold, but like 80 people or something like that. And every bus is like that, in and out of the city. So, you know, imagine how many people move through it in a day. It would be thousands of people. You know, so I think you do open yourself up travelling on. But, I mean, does a mask help you with any of that? You still got to touch the
stop
bus.
spreading it, isn't it? I've always thought it's to stop.
Right.
And to stop you touching your face so much. It just gives you a bit of as far as I heard, is like even, you know, you could still breathe in a particle, but you might breathe in a bit less or whatever, and just give, you know, it's just,
right.
It's reduction. It's not really prevention, I don't think. Because you
No.
can still get in your eyes and stuff, can't it? And everywhere.
Right. All right, then. Shall we round it up?
I like the way he stood on his principles. I like the way he stood on his principles there, Jim. I see why your fan is. When they told him he had to get off, no. I don't have to. Medical exemption. No, I don't have to get off. Do I get a refund?
Yeah. 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 And I also thought, you know, when he went into the whatever building that was, and they said, is that camera running? He said, oh, you got to turn it off. Well, a First Amendment auditor would be all over that. They wouldn't have stood for that for a moment. You know, not if it's the public building. The foyer area, you can film. And that's, I think, pretty much a general rule, that is. Unless they have some specific ordinance banning it. But usually they don't. From what, you know, I watch these First Amendment guys quite a bit. And I think one of them will want to go to Watertown, New York, and sort that place out, I think. Do a First Amendment audit on it.
Well, they're all going to be ascending or descending, whatever, on Watertown. That's like Mecca.
Right, right.
They need to build new hotels.
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't look like a very big place to me.
Nah.
I don't know. Do you know anything about it, Curb? Have you ever heard of it?
I think isn't it a suburb of Buffalo or something like that?
No idea.
Not huge, not a small village, but I thought it was like something to do with somewhere near Buffalo.
Right.
Maybe closer to Niagara than Buffalo or something, but
it's big enough to have civic buildings and stuff, I guess. So
sure. Yeah.
Anyway, all right then. Well, we'll wrap it up. Thanks for coming, everyone. Right, where's my end bit? A great big thank you to everyone who has donated to my PayPal so far. If you could support the show, please follow the links in the description. And please, 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 please subscribe to the channel. Join us again next week for more fabulous flatness. In the meantime, if you see something that you think should be included in the show, please post a timestamp link in the comments section of this video. Or join our Discord server. The link is in the description, along with channel links for tonight's panel. And I'll stick the videos in there later as well. Our Discord has nearly 2,000 members, and we managed to keep a conversation going virtually 24/7. We welcome members with opposing views, so click the link and join us. Thanks again to tonight's fabulous panel. Thanks to all of you for watching. We'll be back around the same time next week, so until then, please rate, comment, and subscribe. Have a great evening.
Stop talking about it and do something!
Suck my dick, Earth, with that bullshit.
Really?
It's like a gentle hate.
Do we have another benevolent star here? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Are you benevolent? Is your friend good?
My name is Logan Paul, and I think I'm coming out of the flat earth closet.
This is so fucking depressing. I can't be a flat earth person.
You can't have it both ways. You can't have a flat earth and things making sense.